Welcome into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh from the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow myself at TCAV30 on Twitter/X. Follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bruins coaching carousel that broke on Thursday. A lot of moving parts. You part ways with your offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, and less than 24 hours later, you bring in a new guy from a very, very good Big Ten team this past season. We'll get to that in a minute. Also going to talk about the offensive MVP for the Bruins this season. A lot of different guys to choose from. Nobody really stood out across the board the entire season, but one guy is deserving of it for what he was able to put together in his final 6 games. So we'll start just kind of talking about the breaking news that came out for the Bruins. First off being Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for just one season under head coach Deshaun Foster. He is going to be leaving. It is reported and believed that Bieniemy, his plan was always to go back to the NFL. That's where he spent 16 seasons across several different teams, most notably with the Kansas City Chiefs as a Super Bowl champion, winning a couple there as their offensive coordinator. And he had a very good relationship with Deshaun Foster, wanted to help him out this season, did so, and had a pretty solid second half of the year. The passing offense was a lot better than the rushing under Bieniemy, but he's going to continue to try to get some head coaching, some coordinator jobs around the National Football League. And only a few hours later, more news broke that the Bruins were going to be hiring Tino Sunseri. He is the current quarterbacks coach and co-offensive coordinator of Indiana University, the 11-1 Hoosiers that have had an incredible year. Nobody saw this coming. Head coach Curt Cignetti in his first year actually brought over Sunseri with him from James Madison. So Cignetti, he was actually started at James Madison back in 2019, built that program up over the course of a few years and got an opportunity to coach the Hoosiers, and he brought Sunseri with him. Tino was the quarterbacks coach only at JMU from 21 till 2023, and then made the jump over to the Big Ten with Cignetti, and he assumed that quarterbacks coach position while also being the co-offensive coordinator. And it's pretty impressive stuff for Sunseri. I mean, he had a guy in senior Curtis Rorick at quarterback. Now, obviously, it's really nice when you get a senior quarterback that can ball like that, but he played a part in this kid going for just over 2,800 yards through the air, 27 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That's incredible. What a year for Curtis Rorick. Tino Sunseri definitely has some sort of role to play in that. It bodes well for the Bruins because you lose senior quarterback Ethan Garbers, and you got a new guy coming in. A new guy is going to have to step in, fill those shoes, and become the starting guy for UCLA, and I think that Sunseri can help him do that. Now, Tino's been around college football for pretty much his entire life. He played several seasons at the University of Pitt, led the Panthers to a 20-19 record over the course of being a starter for 3 years, and then post, he went on to play in the Canadian Football League. He went undrafted in the NFL draft in 2013 and played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders from 2013 to 2015 in the CFL. And then once he was done there, he started his coaching career. Started as a quality control assistant for Florida State, went on to do the same thing for Tennessee. Then he was a grad assistant for Alabama. And from there, James Madison, quarterbacks coach, and now he is in a great spot at just 35 years old as the offensive coordinator of UCLA after one brief season at Indiana. Now, Sunseri, he is going to continue to fill his role with the Hoosiers as they have a really good chance to make the college football playoff this year. So he'll finish up with them this season. They're not playing in the Big Ten championship, but they will be there for likely the final 12 teams with an 11-1 record. Very, very, very impressive. Their only loss to Ohio State. So this is really good news for the Bruins. You hate to lose Bieniemy because he was such a great offensive NFL mind. We will see how this impacts the transfer portal and the recruiting. Do guys leave because they know Bieniemy's gone? Do they come to the team because they know he's gone and you got a young guy in Tino Sunseri that can help your program win? It's going to be interesting to see that trickle-down effect because a lot of times the coaching carousel can also impact the recruiting world as well. So we'll move on now, talk about the current team for the Bruins. Well, it was current until just about a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of those seniors are going to be leaving, including, in my opinion, the offensive MVP, Ethan Garbers. senior quarterback who had a really rough start to the season. Now, there were some other guys you could have put in there. Tight end Maliki Matavao, he had over 500 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He had a nice season. There wasn't really a running back that could have won this award. I mean, if anybody, TJ Harden, but the Bruins would not have won 4 out of their last 6 games if it wasn't for Garber's under center. You take a look at that 1-5 start to the season. Garber's put together just 4 touchdowns and 9 picks in those first 6 games. Now, he wasn't playing any slouches. He was playing Indiana and Tino Sunseri. He was playing LSU ranked 16th. He was playing the number 1 team in the nation, Oregon. Minnesota, not a bad team as well. So you had yourself a gauntlet of a schedule to open up the year, and Garber suffered for it. I mean, he threw an interception in every game. He threw 3 against Minnesota, had 2 against Oregon. So it was a bad start for him, and that's kind of the turning point in the season for him, because you can take it one or two ways. You can be disappointed, sulk for yourself, and just kind of go out there and go through the motions in the final back half of the year, but that's not what Ethan did whatsoever. He posted 12 touchdowns on just 2 interceptions in his final 6 games, leading his team to a 4-2 record, threw for over 200 yards in each game. His best numbers came against Rutgers, where he threw for 383 with 4 tutties and 0 picks. I mean, Ethan, they wouldn't have won without him. He can run the ball a little bit, had 137 yards rushing on the ground with 1 touchdown, ripped off a 57-yarder against Nebraska at the beginning of November in an upset win on the road. So, obviously there was the Iowa game where you needed TJ Harden to pop off for over 100 yards and the defense to show up big to take them down. But most of the offense this year was created through Garbers in the pass game. And with him completing just over 64% of his passes, he did a pretty darn good job of finding open receivers, spreading the wealth amongst the tight ends, the wideouts, freshmen, seniors, whoever it was, and putting this season together. Because when you start 1-5, I mean, the fact that they were had a chance to become bowl eligible with 2 weeks left in the season was incredible. They obviously lost to Washington and USC to finish out Big Ten play and missed the bowl eligibility by the hook. But to get to that point, winning 3 straight games, taking down Rutgers, Nebraska, and Iowa. Something is to be said about what Garbers was able to put together in that stretch. I mean, he threw multiple touchdown passes in each of those 3 games during the win streak. And you couldn't ask for better quarterback play when it comes to production, success and production, compared to the amount of mistakes and turnovers he had, which wasn't a lot. Now, he was sacked a pretty good amount, and his ability to still put up points and help this team win was huge. So Ethan Garbers, your offensive MVP for the UCLA Bruins. Tomorrow we're going to unpack and talk about the defensive MVP. There are a couple big options, but I think the Butkus Award finalist might be that one for his sensational play, high number of tackles, and just nose for the football. But we'll get all that tomorrow. So this has been the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh. You can follow myself at TCAP30 on Twitter/X. We're here from the Fans First Sports Network on Sports Illustrated. Thanks so much, everybody. We will see you again next time.